How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I'm going to go and do, I think it's just a mission, this one. Was theoretically a bit of a more simple, easy one, but ended up a couple of little things went awry. Yeah, for this one I'm going to take the ANK38, so I'm doing deliver to the port. I keep wanting to say delivery to the port, but it's not. So I need one cabin and 2 concrete blocks. But I'm going to drive kind of to the port first. I want to have another go at crossing that little kind of water section near the port and go to that gateway. And then I thought I got confused again with the gateways, that I'd grab a cabin that's on burned forest. It was either that or go and make one. I believe I checked through the missions. I've not got every single mission on burned forest, but I looked through and I don't think I need a cabin for anything else. Possibly though, actually, it could maybe for the water booms. But anyway, I went and poached a cabin from burned forest. Instead of, I could have either gone and got the materials. I think I would have ended up going to like the same warehouse to get the materials anyway, or had to go to the sawmill. I can't remember, what is it you need for a cabin? I think it was medium planks and metal beams. But either way, yeah, I decided to go and get me home from that map. But again, I don't know why, for the last couple of days I keep getting it mixed up with the gateways. I thought I was going to pop out on like the gateway that's on the south of the burned forest map, but yeah, I ended up popping out the gateway that's like on the right of the map. Even get me left and right confused at the minute. But yeah, like I say, for now though, that wasn't the it was not the end of the world. I suppose it kind of extended the mission a little bit, but yeah, I just kind of fancied. I drove over this little water section the other day doing a mission. I was with the Derry 15C, and I ended up not going that way to do the mission, but I sort of tested it afterwards, and then it worked. And ever since then, I was kind of like, oh, I wish I'd taken the cargo that way now. So I just kind of needed a reason to go and do it. Yeah, I ended up choosing the ANK for this one, like the military one, so you can just have the sideboard on the back, really. But yeah, this truck is actually pretty decent. Like, it's still got a nice amount of power, the high gear, all the rest of it. It's certainly for an American truck, it sits in many ways closer to like some of the Russian stuff. I still think something like a Tiger and that'd outperform it on the limits and that. You do get at least mud tyres, but it's only the custom version of the muds. I've got the chained on at the minute. It wasn't really a case of not really grip the whole way. I knew for the most of it I'd be driving along like roads and stuff, so it didn't really matter either way. It was more when I was crossing this bit of water, I sort of wanted to chain tyres just because I find those muds tend to just feel a bit more like they're just bold tyres and they sort of wheel spin a lot more. Yeah, I just figured I'd take the chains as they hopefully bite down on this little riverbed. You can see the current's pretty strong here as well, and that's the thing, that Derry special that I took, it's actually not the most planted truck, but because it sits wider and all the rest of it, it's probably more planted. And yeah, this, like, I had to start steering into it a bit there because I think the current might have tipped me over. I only put the raised suspension on this as well. You could go up to tune custom, but I kind of figured there's no point really, because to be fair, this truck is pretty decent for off-roading. Like, it's quite a short wheelbase and all the rest of it. All its fuel tank and everything sits quite nice and high, so yeah, it's not really one that's ever been too bad for beaching it. It's funny though, because like now you can see as crawling along, I'm kind of leaning on the side quite a lot. Back in the day, that thing would have been tipped minutes ago. Probably would have got tipped when that current caught me. This used to be like, I'd say pretty much the worst vehicle in the game as far as tipping goes. Back when I did like the gameplay and review of this truck, which was one of the first I did, so it's not necessarily like got all the stuff that I sort of do in most of them now. But yeah, this thing was trying to do the cargo container contest on Drownlands. I don't think I ever made, well, I made it there, but never in like a time that was what I'd consider like a quick run for it. Yeah, this thing is used to tip every 2 seconds, so it shows that they have actually improved it a bit. And as I said, those custom muds would have actually sat a little bit wider, but yeah, it was just that river part was the idea behind the chained. And well, yeah, we made it over there. Not got any cargo at the minute. Got a goddamn horse with us though. Was taking him for extra fuel and everything, which turned out to be a bloody good idea in the end. That warehouse I'm driving past now that's on the right, I was planning on getting the concrete blocks from that warehouse, but at this point in time I thought, you know, I'll be coming back, sort of doubling back on myself a little bit, and I'll just get them on the way back, because obviously with this truck I can't have a crane, so it's one of them where if something tips off the trailer, that's not good. And even like that section's been a bit sort of overly restrictive for quite a few trucks recently. This was still going a little bit slow along there, but again, like, see ground clearance and all the rest of it, it's doing pretty well. I quite like this vehicle now. It's just a bit odd, obviously, that you got this one and then the civilian version, which has got like various other options, but you can't have a sideboard on the civilian option, otherwise it'd kind of just make this one completely null and void, really. But then because of that, you can't have any truck like this that's got the sort of crane sideboard option, which is a bit of a shame. Not sure if I'll ever use those. I think there's small pipes in that trailer there. And again, maybe they do make sense for some mission, but you just never really know. I don't want to keep working out, going through 20 different missions each night trying to work out, right, so if I use that material, I won't have it available for this mission and all that. It's too much admin and faffing around. Yeah, through the gateway though, which, like I say, was now basically, I realised, god damn it, popped out of that gateway again. I was hoping to pop out of that one. I don't know why. Thinking it's like Super Mario, jump down a green tunnel. I'm hoping to pop out in the best spot. So yeah, I ended up having to cut across like the map, really. Pretty similar route that I did with the P16 the other day. Only now I'm not doing a road train, and it's obviously like a bit of a smaller, faster vehicle. Which at this point I was kind of interested to see from kind of now to when I pop out the where the loaf is near the other gateway, kind of just how quick this whole run would be. It's close to tipping there though. Didn't really have any issues at all on the way from Albany River to here. The tipping wasn't too bad, even going down like the sort of bank into that little river section that I crossed. It wasn't even too bad there. I certainly am glad I didn't put the tune custom on, because like going around that corner there, any more height on this truck and I think it would have gone. But they've at least fixed it to the point where it's not just unusable. I mean, it was comical how easy this thing tipped. Which back when we first got the game as well, this was like, I remember you got it on the Alaskan region. Was it? I can remember the map, I just can't remember the name now. I think it was the third map in. Yeah, again, it was like one of the best trucks we got when we got it. It was more a question of like, it'll make it to where you want to go, but it's will it tip before you get there? Which is probably, again, in among the reasons I started taking a loaf with me everywhere, just as kind of like an extra life, just in case such a thing does happen. I think as well, while I was driving through some of these muddy sections, having the chained on, they seem to... It kind of helps smooth out, like, even though the power's a little bit lacking these days, it feels, compared to what it used to be, but when you go into certain muddy sections, the mud's kind of bogged down and will try and kick you out of high gear or whatever. These felt like, in the right sort of situations, the tyres would keep wheel spinning, so instead of having to change out of gear, it just felt like, I don't know, it was a bit sort of squeeze the throttle and go, and it'd kind of balance itself out based on how much it'd wheel spin, and it'll go a bit slower through certain mud sections, but instead of, yeah, doing the stalling thing, which, I don't know, I thought was quite sort of nice in a way. Like I say, it helps sort of smooth all the power out instead of just being really jerky, and like as soon as you hit something it just kicks you out and you've got to go back into auto and so on. And as you can see now as well in high gear, it gets a nice pace, this thing, quick enough to where you still got to pay attention. That's one of the things I do like about this, and the ANK civilian, and like say the Dolphin recently. That's still, all the high gears feel pretty close to how they used to, really. See, sections like there where you sort of bleed the speed a bit, yeah, wheel spins instead of just doing the whole gear stalling thing going on. And there again as well, it looked like it bogged down a little bit, but because it sort of wheel span until it builds the power back up, it's yeah, sort of you get away with just leaving it in high gear for a little while. So now I'm pretty much at the gateway I thought I was going to pop out on, so yeah, a couple of minutes extra to this mission I suppose, nothing too crazy. Well, I say a couple of minutes extra to now, obviously then on the way back I was like wondering at this point which gateway shall I go, the gateway that's really near, but then it'll be a longer distance to travel back on Albany River, or do I kind of cut across back the way I've just came? Almost tipped it there as well. Sent it in a little bit keen on the way round. I was almost, probably good job I didn't. I was going to fling like a winch to that lamppost on the inside, kind of Spider-Man swing my way around, but I probably could have gone horrifically bad as well. Yeah, so this warehouse on Burn Forest, this has still got one cabin left on it, which I'm having, is now mine. And yeah, in the end I decided just to go the short way back to this this gateway. I just figured I'll do the longer route back on Albany River. Sort of saves doubling back on myself. Like I say, it's not the end of the world. Although I was hoping to do like a little bit of a shorter mission tonight, as I sort of ended up being a little bit behind where I'd sort of want to get stuck into a video. And I am aware now that I've got not a lot of fuel left, and I've just gone past that maintenance trailer, which I could have used, like it's there for that reason. I don't know why, I mean I plant things around as like it's a good idea for future use, but then it's weird, it's like the same thing I said I used to do back in older games where I'll just hoard everything then, I'll save everything even though I know there's fuel there. I just don't want to use it now unless it's like an absolute emergency. So yeah, a bit of a longer trip kind of back up to the north of the map, and then I'll reconnect with the road kind of at the gateway that I originally went through. I also moved some fuel from the Lo4f into this ANK, so he's had the roof right now. Yeah, like I say, I don't know why, it's like I used to do on older games where there's like Call of Duty type games and all that. I'd save grenades, everything, all the good stuff I just wouldn't use, and I'd end up completing all the games without ever using anything. I remember those games like Resistance. I wanted to play that the other day actually. I couldn't, I think they had Resistance 3 or 4 or whatever it was on the PlayStation Store. They need to add all the older stuff. I sort of think they don't, because it would almost undercut a lot of newer games they're making, but if that's the case, it's like, what does that tell you? If someone would rather buy like a 15-year-old game or whatever over a brand new one. But yeah, either way I think they should. But those are, that Resistance game, I played all of them in the end. Yeah, Brothers in Arms, Hell's Highway, all that sort of stuff. I'd struggle like mad, and yeah, when I get to the end and complete it, I've got like maxed out best guns, all the ammo, all the grenades, all the different types of grenades, as many health kits or whatever it is as I can carry, and yeah, it was kind of all for nothing really. And even though I can spawn as many maintenance trailers as I like, well, like I said, part of it I suppose in this sense is like the, not the challenge of it, but I kind of planned to do this mission taking out the ANK and then taking the Lo4f with me, so I kind of like, once I set off, if I can help it, I certainly know in various situations I'll plant like a fuel station in on the way round and all the rest of it, but yeah, I like to try and make it like with what I set off with. There, by the way, I'm blaming my cat. He was sat down sleeping next to me, and then he suddenly got up and started sniffing around in the air and running around as if like, what the hell? Was there a fire going on or something? And yeah, God knows. Probably smelt a bloody cat walk past the house or something. But yeah, I paused it like, well, what's up? What's that, Skip? Thought there was like some little kid stuck down a mine shaft. Nice little trailer drift on the go there. Ooh, as I look around for the trailer, it almost went swerving off. It nearly flew off this little ledge. I mean, you don't need to go this way, but I don't know why, for whatever reason I quite like driving over this. Although it sort of reminds me at this point, going over a long narrow bridge like this, but you've obviously got like the trestles or whatever they're called going over it, so you can't really fall off that bridge. It'd be quite good if they did a bridge a bit like that, but with no sides on it so you can fall off. Maybe a little bit more rickety as well. A bit like in the Top Gear special, was it the Columbia special? They crossed like a bit of a tall bridge like that, but yeah, no like beams or rails or anything along the side. I quite like this part of the map, that's why I sort of do zip round this way quite a bit. And yeah, up to this point, things were have been going pretty well so far. You drop the hammer along here. It looks like it'll be really rough and bumpy along here, but you actually, it's not too bad. However, when I got to here, if you look at the trailer, just hit there, got a bit of an unlucky bounce. I started to tip over a bit as well. That kind of also carried the trailer over, and it tipped. I thought about it for a few seconds. I ended up doing the quit and reload method, and yeah, went for another attempt. At that point, I could see I could have started the loaf up and got the loaf out and blah blah blah, but yeah, I don't know, I wasn't really in the mood for it at that point, so yeah, I quit and reloaded. I kind of loaded up back to where I just stopped when the cat started acting like there was some kind of emergency situation going on. Although, for the most part, this trailer hasn't really been much of a troll for me, but that time it certainly felt like it went a little bit easy. I think maybe the cabin's just like a little bit of an awkward bit of cargo. And for this next little section, it wouldn't let me out of first gear really. I was trying to wait to drop it in high gear. I want to be swerving off to that road on the left, but I was so busy concentrating on, yeah, just trying to get in a high gear. It's like, god damn it, drove straight past the one turn and I had to remember. Oh, cat's back. Alright, Nutter. He's trying to hint for dinners or something. He knows what he's doing. He always walks past and like treads on my foot on purpose. When he knows he can miss it. He's just trying to get my attention, but playing it cool, which is funny because it's like even his little cat brain must plan out like, right, I'll walk past him, I'll tread on his foot so he knows that I've walked past him, and then he might ask me if I'm hungry or something. Yeah, you can see I got to that point. The trailer bounced, the cargo tipped off, and I was trying to push it back on. It kind of locked onto the trailer to the point now you can see I winched to a tree. And my truck started eating the tree. I was looking around now thinking like, bloody hell, I didn't even think these trees could move, but my truck's just like nom nom nom. Yeah, for whatever reason, like the cabin's just kind of like stuck to the trailer. So I cut a lot of this out, the old loaf, like some judo flip, trying to get that cabin back on there. And I thought, ah, finally, because there's a lot of dicking around here, and then it rolled off the other side. Goddamn sons of bitches. So yeah, not too impressed with the cabin. First it kind of stuck to the side of the trailer like some kind of limpet. And yeah, it got judo flipped quite nicely. I'll give the loaf that. So in the end I put the ramps down and just pushed it on the old fashioned way. Got it packed, got the loaf packed. Forgot to transfer some fuel, but then I transferred all the fuel from the loaf to this ANK. I packed the loaf. I don't know why, for some reason I thought when I clicked pack it just lined the loaf up nice and neatly on the trailer. Again, I'm losing my marbles recently. But it didn't, but at that point I was like, sod it. I can't be bothered to retransfer a few litres of fuel just to straighten it up. At this point, because you can see now my fuel, I'm on about 60 litres left. Now I've used all the fuel from the loaf's roof rack and the loaf's fuel tank, so I am... And this thing drinks like a bloody Irishman on St. Paddy's Day, so I need to drop the hammer whilst I can. And I've still got to go past that warehouse, grab 2 lots of concrete blocks. Which I think they might be like limited supply on this map. Is it concrete blocks? I don't know actually, I can't remember if they're at the railway sort of warehouse or not. Oh yeah, by the way, I actually got to here and the trailer tipped again and I quit and reload back to basically where I was just loading the cabin onto the trailer. back there a bit when I like transferred the fuel from the loaf and everything. Yeah, so like I say, for the first kind of half to 2/3 of this mission, maybe even 3/4, there was no real issues at all, and then for whatever reason, kind of right near the end, I tipped 3 times I think, or tipped twice, and then once the trailer just kind of landed funny and it sort of tipped the trailer, but my truck didn't tip. Yeah, grab both of them, and as you can see I am kind of in a little bit of a rush at this point, not hanging around. 40 litres left, which sounds like you think, well, that's good. It's alright, it's not terrible, but again, this thing drinks like crazy, and this game has a habit of just making your truck like blip the throttle. You know what I mean? It doesn't really move even when you've got like 8 or 10 litres of fuel left, which is pretty harsh, but it's the way the game does it. Yeah, so all like this whole mission really revolved around me just crossing this little section with cargo. That was about it. I mean, strictly speaking, I kind of ended up going the wrong way because I went to the wrong gateway and all sorts. Although I don't think it really would have made much difference to the actual mission length, because it's a lot quicker to get to the gateway I went to than cross all the way across the map. It was actually quite easy to drive like across the burned forest map, so it probably didn't actually make any difference really. And yeah, made it over there. The current didn't tip me or anything. This thing sits high enough. It's got quite a decent snorkel that kind of goes up to the roof. But yeah, now it's like 19 litres. Like, oh come on! I was worried it was just going to get to about here and start spluttering. Which at that point, because of just general good planning with a goddamn horse, I do have a loaf already in this little like port yard section, so I could have just sent the loaf. There he is in the background, red loaf. Could have sent him over just to give me a bit of fuel, but still I wanted to make it out of principle now after all the tipping and trolling going on. Got stuck on the rocks a bit, but thankfully one of those lampposts I could winch to, and then now I'm kind of surprised it wasn't spluttering. Sorry, that was my phone if you could hear it. I'm not even sure. I think because I'm on kind of just flat tarmac ground that it probably had enough oomph in it to crawl there, but yeah, 5 litres left, so I was cutting it pretty damn fine on that mission. I was almost about to abort the whole mission a couple of times, and then yeah, just about made it home. 5,500, not really bothered about that. It was just an excuse to go and grab some cargo and yeah, cut across that little like river crossing section. But anyway, yeah, that's about it for today though. I hope you've enjoyed, I hope that helps. Thanks for watching, thanks to my Patreon members. Get yourself a loaf because he's a goddamn beast and he got me home again, and I'll be back soon.